The wind howled across the cracked plains of Lyria, carrying a faint, trembling song. Mara froze, heart pounding as the sound wove through the desolate ruins, fragile, desperate, and alive. Somewhere ahead, the last songbird clung to life, and for the first time in years the planet seemed to be holding its breath. The wind tore across the cracked plains of Lyria, lifting dust in swirling clouds. Mara stumbled over a jagged rock, shielding her eyes from the grit. The planet had been abandoned long ago, the cities reduced to skeletons of metal and stone, and life here was rare, almost forgotten. She had come seeking data, old records of atmospheric changes, but now something else had caught her attention. A faint, trembling melody carried on the wind. She froze. The sound was soft, fragile, and aching. It was not mechanical nor human. It was alive. Mara's heart thumped hard, a mix of fear and hope. "No, it can't be," she whispered, stepping closer to the edge of a collapsed bridge. Her boots crunched over debris, each step echoing in the silent ruins. The song grew clearer, a delicate tune, almost like someone calling for help. She crouched behind a crumbling wall, trying to locate the source. Her scanner showed nothing, no signs of life, no movement, no heat. And yet the song continued, hesitant but persistent. Mara's chest tightened. Every instinct screamed caution. Planets like this didn't hold life anymore. Anything that survived would be desperate, maybe dangerous. But the voice of the song, it carried a kind of vulnerability that drew her forward. Her comm unit crackled. "Mara, status?" It was Lieutenant Ron from the research outpost on the other side of the valley. "We're losing contact with your probe. Any readings?" I hear something," Mara replied, her voice trembling. "I don't know what it is, but it's alive. It sounds weak." "Be careful," Ron warned. "No species on Lyria should be alive, at least nothing that's safe to approach. You can't risk it alone." "I can't leave it," Mara said, more to herself than to him. The song was fragile, trembling, and it made her feel exposed, like someone was counting on her. She took a deep breath and edged along the wall, following the tune. The wind shifted, carrying a hint of metallic tang, and she realized the melody was coming from below, a collapsed observation tower, half buried in sand and rubble. Mara descended cautiously. Each step was a battle against the unstable debris. Her pulse raced. What if it was an animal? Something large? Or worse, a trap left behind by scavengers? But she pressed on, driven by a feeling she hadn't had in years, compassion. She couldn't ignore it. At the base of the tower she saw it. A small creature, no bigger than a human hand, huddled against the rusted metal supports. Its feathers were mangled, dulled, and dust-covered. Its wings twitched with every note, each song a struggle. Mara's eyes widened. The last songbird of Lyria, a species thought extinct, stared at her with wide, terrified eyes. "Oh, you poor thing," she murmured, kneeling slowly. The bird tried to lift itself but collapsed back into the sand. Its song cracked and faded, a trembling plea that struck Mara in the chest. Tears blurred her vision. She wanted to reach out, to lift it, but her hands trembled. "It's okay. I won't hurt you," she whispered, her voice soft but steady. Suddenly, a rumble shook the sand. Mara looked up, heart hammering. Dust rolled down from the crumbling structure above. Something stirred in the shadows, a glint of metal, a movement too deliberate to be natural. Mara's breath caught. "Stay calm," she muttered, trying not to startle the bird. She scanned the area, but her instruments picked up nothing. Whoever, or whatever, was there was hiding well. The bird chirped weakly, a sound almost pleading. Mara risked moving closer, hand outstretched. "I can help you, but you have to trust me," she said. Its head tilted, feathers ruffling in the wind, but it didn't fly away. A spark of hope ignited in Mara. This was the first sign of life she had found on Lyria in years. She could save it. A sudden crash from the ruined tower made her spin around. Sand and metal fell from above, and a shadow darted into view. Mara's heart froze as she caught a glimpse of glowing eyes, two of them reflecting the fading light. The creature didn't move like a bird. It crouched, low and deliberate, muscles coiled like it could strike. Mara froze, hands still extended toward the songbird. The bird chirped again, weaker this time, and Mara realized it was not just calling, it was warning. Mara's mind raced. She couldn't save it if she was trapped. Slowly, she edged backward, keeping the fragile creature between herself and the shadow. "I'm not here to hurt you," she whispered, voice barely audible over the wind. The eyes didn't waver. The shadow shifted closer, careful and silent, and Mara felt a cold tingle of fear. Her comm unit crackled again, this time with static, and the melody of the bird seemed to waver as if sensing danger. Mara knew she had only moments. She needed to act fast, grab the bird, escape and survive whatever lurked in the ruins. The shadow moved again. Mara held her breath, her heart pounding. The last songbird of Lyria chirped, fragile but persistent, and Mara knew she had to make a choice. One wrong move and both of them might die here. And then, a shrill metallic screech echoed from deeper within the tower, louder than anything Mara had heard on this planet. The shadow froze. The bird flapped weakly, panicked. Mara's pulse raced. She had no time left. Mara's heart raced as she crouched low, the last songbird pressed gently against her chest. Its feathers bristled with fear, and each fragile note it sang trembled through the cold air. The shadow from the ruined tower didn't move. Mara could feel its presence like a weight pressing down on her, unseen but unmistakable. She inched backward, careful not to make sudden movements, her eyes scanning the debris-strewn landscape for any sign of escape. The screech echoed again, sharper this time, and Mara realized the shadow was not alone. More shapes moved within the ruins, flitting between broken walls and collapsed walkways. Their eyes glinted faintly, reflecting the dying light. Mara swallowed hard, her throat dry, and whispered to the bird, "We have to get out, we can't stay here." The bird chirped weakly, almost agreeing. Mara scanned the ground. There was a narrow path between two fallen structures that led toward a shallow canyon. It was risky, unstable, but it might be their only way out. She took a slow, deliberate step, then another, keeping the bird close to her chest. Every sound, the crunch of debris, the whistle of the wind, the bird's soft notes, seemed amplified in the oppressive silence. Suddenly, a low rumble came from behind a pile of rubble. Mara froze. Two of the shadows darted out at once, sleek and muscular, moving with unnatural speed. Her heart lurched. One of them leapt toward her. She stumbled back, tripping over a broken beam, and the bird screeched, flapping its wings weakly in panic. Mara's instincts kicked in. She threw her arm over the bird protectively. The creature hit the ground hard, but a strange, metallic sound filled the air as something crashed nearby. Mara blinked, trying to adjust. The shadow had stopped mid-pounce. Another shadow emerged from deeper in the ruins, its shape larger, more terrifying. Its eyes glowed a fierce amber and jagged spines ran along its back. Mara realized it wasn't hunting for food, it was testing her, curious and cautious, much like the songbird itself. Her chest tightened with fear and awe. She whispered, "We need to move," quietly. Her voice shook, but the bird chirped softly in response, almost reassuring her. Mara edged toward the narrow path, careful not to draw attention. The shadows shifted in the corners of her vision, their movements deliberate, calculating. Each step felt like a gamble. The wind carried the faint scent of ozone and rust. The ruins seemed alive, watching, waiting. A sudden clatter made Mara spin. A small piece of debris had fallen from above. One of the smaller shadows hissed and darted toward her, faster than she could react. The bird shrieked in fear, flapping violently. Mara grabbed a piece of jagged metal from the ground and swung it instinctively. The shadow yelped and recoiled, but Mara could see the fear in its amber eyes. It was intelligent, aware, not just a mindless predator. She gasped, breath coming in short, ragged bursts. "We're not enemies," she said, voice trembling. "We just want to survive." The songbird chirped again, soft but persistent, as if agreeing with her plea. For a moment, the shadows froze, observing her. Mara wondered if they understood her words or sensed her intentions through some instinctive perception. The path ahead was clear, but the larger shadow blocked it. Mara weighed her options. She couldn't outrun it without drawing it toward the bird. She had to act, but carefully. Slowly, she stepped forward, extending her hand toward the creature in a gesture of peace. The bird chirped louder, matching her courage. The large shadow cocked its head, studying her, then shifted slightly, allowing just enough space for her to pass. Mara exhaled silently, tension flooding her limbs. As she and the bird moved, a new danger emerged. From the edge of the canyon, a deep, guttural roar reverberated across the ruins. Mara froze mid-step. The ground trembled beneath her boots. Dust and loose rocks tumbled from the cliffs. Her pulse spiked. Whatever had made that roar was enormous, bigger than the shadows, more powerful, and clearly aware of her presence. The bird shrieked, its fragile wings beating frantically. Mara hugged it close, whispering, "I won't let anything happen to you." Her mind raced. She could feel the intensity of the predator's gaze, the way the shadows shifted nervously, almost submissively, as if recognizing a superior force approaching. The air itself seemed charged with tension. Mara realized they were caught between two threats, one cunning and fast, the other massive and overwhelming. She had to choose: risk moving forward through the canyon facing the unknown giant, or retreat and face the smaller shadows in the ruins. Her chest tightened with desperation. She took a deep breath, grounding herself. "We move," she said firmly, more to herself than to the bird. The creature nestled against her chest seemed to sense her determination, its trembling lessening slightly. Mara's eyes darted to the canyon, dark and foreboding, but a faint glimmer of light hinted at a way forward. As they approached the canyon's edge, the massive roar sounded again, closer this time, echoing with a terrifying resonance. The shadows around her hissed, retreating into the ruins. Mara gripped the bird tighter, her mind racing. She had no weapons, barely any knowledge of the threats she faced, but she knew she had to survive, and protect the fragile songbird at all costs. A final, earth-shaking thud vibrated through the canyon floor, and Mara felt the heat of something massive moving just beyond the rocks. She froze, the bird chirping frantically. The shadowed forms vanished into the corners, leaving only the immense silence before the storm. Mara's breath hitched. She had no choice but to step forward. The unknown predator waited, the songbird's fragile life in her hands, and the canyon's darkness beckoned like a maw ready to swallow them whole. Mara's boots crunched against the jagged rocks as she stepped cautiously into the canyon. The walls rose high, shadows pooling in every crevice, and a chill wind cut through the narrow passage. The songbird clung to her chest, its tiny wings quivering with each movement. Mara whispered softly, "Stay calm, we'll make it through this." Her voice trembled despite her attempt to sound steady. The deep rumble returned, vibrating through the canyon floor. Mara froze, pressing herself against a boulder, the bird chirping nervously. The massive predator's presence was overwhelming, she could feel the ground shake with every step it took. She scanned the canyon for cover, spotting a series of overhanging ledges. With a silent nod to the bird, she climbed quickly, the jagged stone cutting into her palms. Above her, the predator paused, a low growl rumbling through the air, sending loose stones skittering down. Its amber eyes glowed from the canyon floor, intelligent and calculating. Mara's heart hammered. She realized it wasn't chasing blindly, it was studying her, trying to understand her movements. Fear and awe intertwined in her chest. "I won't let it hurt you," she whispered to the bird, her voice barely audible over the predator's rumble. The bird chirped softly, nestling closer, and Mara felt a flicker of determination. She had to survive for both their sakes. Her mind raced, considering options each more dangerous than the last. Suddenly, a sharp screech echoed from deeper in the canyon. The smaller shadows that had haunted the ruins appeared, emerging from cracks and crevices. They moved swiftly, circling the predator as if coordinating with it. Mara realized with a jolt that the canyon wasn't just home to the giant predator, it was a hunting ground for multiple creatures. The shadows hissed and leapt, their movements fluid and precise. Mara's chest tightened with panic. She scrambled higher along the ledge, her fingers scraping against the stone. One misstep could mean a fall hundreds of feet down. The bird shrieked in fright, flapping violently, and Mara held it tight. The predator's roar echoed again, shaking loose more debris, sending rocks tumbling dangerously close. She gritted her teeth and muttered, "We're not giving up, not yet." From the shadows, one of the smaller creatures lunged, its claws scraping against the rock near her feet. Mara jumped, narrowly avoiding a deadly swipe. Her heart pounded as adrenaline surged through her veins. The predator on the canyon floor tilted its massive head, studying her ascent with what seemed like curiosity rather than hunger. Mara swallowed hard, her mind searching for a plan. The canyon narrowed, forcing her to squeeze between two walls. The predator's deep growl vibrated through her bones, and she could hear the whispers of the smaller shadows closing in from behind. Panic rose, but Mara forced herself to focus. She spotted a small alcove above, partially hidden by jagged rocks. If she could reach it, she might gain a moment of safety. Climbing was exhausting, but she pushed herself, muscles burning, lungs gasping for air. Her hands slipped once, and the bird squawked loudly, fluttering in fright. Mara steadied herself and whispered, "Almost there, hold on." The predator's eyes glowed brighter, reflecting both the dying light and its intense awareness of her presence. She reached the alcove, crouching low and pressing herself against the cool stone. The bird settled against her chest, still trembling. For a brief moment, there was silence, broken only by the distant echoes of the predator's growls and the smaller shadow's movements. Mara's chest heaved as she tried to calm herself. Then a sudden shift in the air made her freeze. A new sound, a sharp, metallic clatter, echoed through the canyon. Mara's stomach dropped. Something else was coming, something fast. From the shadows above, a glint of movement caught her eye. A swarm of small flying predators, faster and more agile than the others, descended from the ledges. Mara's pulse spiked. She hadn't anticipated this. They were surrounded from above and below. The bird shrieked again, flapping its wings in panic. Mara held it close, feeling the tiny heart pounding against her chest. She backed further into the alcove, trying to find any cover. The flying predators circled, their eyes reflecting hunger and intelligence. Mara realized with growing horror that the canyon was a trap, a labyrinth of predators testing her every move. Her mind raced. She needed a plan, but time was slipping away. The predator below growled deeply, the shadows pressed from behind, and the flying creatures wheeled in above. Mara's chest tightened with fear and determination. She whispered fiercely to the bird, "We survive, together. We find a way no matter what." Then a sudden crash echoed from the canyon's far end. Dust and debris fell, partially blocking the path she had hoped to take. The predator's roar shook the walls, the shadows hissed and shifted, and the flying creatures swooped lower. Mara's heart lurched. Every escape route seemed cut off, every option more dangerous than the last. Her eyes darted around, searching desperately for a solution. The bird chirped frantically, wings brushing her cheeks. Mara's mind raced, realizing that the predators weren't just hunting. They were communicating, coordinating, anticipating her every move. Her survival depended not on speed alone but on cunning, courage, and the fragile connection she had formed with the songbird. Mara took a deep, steadying breath. The ledge beneath her seemed narrow, but it was the only way forward. She whispered to the bird, "We jump, and hope." The predator's eyes followed her every movement, their instincts honed and terrifyingly precise. With one final glance at the treacherous path behind, Mara crouched, heart hammering, wings of the bird pressed tight to her chest. The abyss before her yawned like a waiting maw, and she leapt into the unknown, carrying hope, courage, and the fragile life of the last songbird in her arms. Mara tumbled through the canyon, rocks scraping her arms and legs, the bird clutched tightly against her chest. Dust filled her lungs, and the roar of the predators echoed like thunder around her. She hit the ground hard but rolled instinctively, keeping the bird safe. When she finally stopped, panting, she realized she had landed in a narrow cavern hidden from the predators above. The walls glimmered faintly, reflecting a soft, pulsing light. The bird chirped softly, settling against her chest as if sensing a strange calm in the cavern. Mara studied the walls. Strange symbols, etched in an almost musical pattern, glowed faintly, moving subtly as though alive. She traced a finger over the carvings, and the air seemed to vibrate with a faint hum. "What is this place?" she whispered, awe and fear blending together. A sound came from deeper within the cavern. It was soft, melodic, almost like the song of the bird, but richer, more complex. Mara froze, eyes wide. The bird tilted its head, wings twitching, responding to the music with urgent chirps. She followed the sound, stepping carefully along the uneven floor, her pulse hammering in her ears. The melody grew louder, guiding her deeper. Shadows moved at the edges of the cavern, but they seemed less threatening here. Mara felt a strange connection to the song, as though it called to both her and the bird. She whispered, "It's okay, we can understand it, maybe?" The bird chirped again, leaning closer, its tiny body trembling with energy. Then, without warning, the song shifted, and the light in the cavern pulsed brighter. From the shadows emerged a creature unlike any Mara had seen, a translucent being, glowing faintly, with limbs that flowed like liquid. Its eyes held intelligence and sadness, and it hovered silently in front of her. Mara froze, fear gripping her, yet something in the creature's gaze felt familiar. You're alive," Mara breathed, her voice shaking. The bird chirped, wings fluttering nervously. The creature responded, tilting its head, and the melody around them intensified, echoing off the cavern walls. Mara realized that the song wasn't just music, it was communication, a language the bird and this creature understood. The creature extended a limb slowly, touching the carvings on the wall. The symbols glowed brighter, and Mara saw visions flash before her eyes. The predators stalking the canyon, the smaller shadows coordinating, the flying hunters circling above. But then she saw something else, a memory of the bird's kind, singing in harmony with this being, guiding life and maintaining balance. The songbird wasn't just a fragile creature. It was a key to this ecosystem, a beacon of connection between species. Her breath caught. All this, it's why they're hunting it? Mara whispered. The glowing creature nodded subtly. Mara's mind spun with understanding and horror. The predators weren't mindless killers. They were drawn to the song, threatened by its power and compelled to test the bird. The canyon was a proving ground, a challenge for anyone who sought to protect or control the songbird. Suddenly, a loud rumble shook the cavern. Mara spun around. The predators had followed her, somehow sensing the location of the bird. Their roars echoed through the tunnels, deeper and more coordinated than before. Mara felt panic rise but forced herself to focus. "We have to protect it, no matter what," she whispered, gripping the bird tighter. The glowing creature hovered closer, its limbs brushing gently against Mara's shoulder. A warmth spread through her chest, a connection she couldn't explain. The song intensified, and the bird responded with a high, clear note that resonated through the cavern. Mara realized that together they could influence the predators, calm the chaos, or at least buy a moment to escape. The ground trembled again as rocks fell from the cavern ceiling. Mara knew the predators were nearly upon them. "We have to move now," she yelled. The creature gestured toward a narrow tunnel, almost invisible in the faint light. Mara nodded, understanding that this path might lead to safety, or deeper danger. The bird chirped urgently, urging her forward. As they sprinted toward the tunnel, Mara felt the energy of the song flowing through her. Every step she took seemed guided by the melody, every movement coordinated with the bird. The predators roared behind them, crashing against the cavern walls, but for the first time, Mara felt a strange sense of control. She wasn't just fleeing, she was participating in something larger, something ancient. Just as they reached the tunnel entrance, a massive shadow blocked the path. The largest predator, taller and more muscular than any Mara had faced, emerged, eyes glowing with intelligence and menace. The bird shrieked in terror, wings flapping wildly. Mara planted herself firmly, holding the bird close, feeling the pulse of the song vibrate in her chest. The creature beside her emitted a sharp, resonant tone, and the bird responded with a pure, soaring note. Mara realized the melody wasn't just a song, it was a call, a challenge to the predator. Its roar faltered for a moment, confusion flashing in its amber eyes. Mara's heart pounded as she realized the stakes. The predator would test her, the bird, and the song itself. She whispered fiercely to the bird, "Hold on, we'll show them who we are." The predator stepped closer, muscles tensing, jaws opening, but the song filled the cavern, echoing with power. Mara felt a rush of courage, and the glowing creature hovered beside her, lending strength through the melody. The predator lunged and Mara braced herself. The bird chirped a piercing note, the song vibrating in harmony with the creature's energy. Rocks shook, echoes collided, and for a moment, time seemed suspended. Mara's eyes met the predators and she realized that this confrontation would determine more than survival. It would decide the fate of the song itself. Mara's legs burned as she dashed through the narrow tunnel, the predator crashing behind her with a roar that shook the walls. The bird clutched tightly to her chest, feathers ruffled, wings flapping in panic. Every instinct screamed to run faster, but Mara knew that sheer speed alone wouldn't save them. The song from the glowing creature vibrated through the tunnel, resonating with the bird, guiding them both. She skidded around a corner, narrowly avoiding a pile of fallen rocks. The predator's claws dug into the ground, sparks flying with each step. Mara's chest heaved, her lungs aching, yet she forced herself to focus. "Almost there, just a little further," she muttered, voice trembling but determined. The bird chirped urgently, a sharp, high note that echoed in the tunnel like a call to arms. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a vast chamber, illuminated by streaks of sunlight filtering through cracks in the ceiling. Mara froze for a moment, awestruck. The chamber was alive with colors she hadn't seen since arriving in this desolate land. Lush greenery clinging to stone, small pools of water reflecting the light and soft, mossy ground beneath her feet. The songbird let out a melodic trill, almost as if it recognized the place as safe. The predator appeared at the tunnel entrance, massive and menacing, amber eyes gleaming with intelligence. It sniffed the air, growling low, the tension vibrating through the chamber. Mara's hands trembled as she held the bird tighter. "We're not giving up. Not now," she whispered, her voice firm despite the fear gnawing at her. The glowing creature hovered near the chamber's ceiling, pulsing gently. Its melody intertwined with the bird's song, creating a harmony that resonated through the stone. Mara realized they had a chance, not just to escape but to assert the power of compassion, not violence. She raised her hand, letting the song guide her. The predator paused, ears twitching as if hearing something beyond the physical world. Mara stepped forward slowly, heartbeat pounding, and spoke softly. "We're not your enemies. We only want to survive, together." The predator tilted its massive head, eyes narrowing. Its roar trembled into a low growl, conflicted between instinct and curiosity. The bird chirped again, soaring slightly from Mara's arms, weaving a protective pattern around her. Then a sudden movement caught Mara's eye. Tiny shadowed forms skittered through the chamber. Smaller predators previously hidden were watching. Mara knew if she panicked they could attack. She steadied herself, letting the song flow freely, her voice joining in with the melody. A strange calm filled the chamber, and the predator hesitated, sniffing, then stepping back slightly. Mara seized the moment. "Now, bird, fly," she shouted, and the songbird leapt from her hands, wings strong and steady. It spiraled upward, the melody swelling, echoing against the stone. Mara followed, moving toward a ledge above the chamber, heart racing as the predator lunged one last time. Rocks tumbled, but Mara leaped with all her strength, landing safely on the ledge. The bird landed nearby, chirping triumphantly. From her perch, Mara saw a path leading upward, sunlight spilling over jagged cliffs, signaling freedom. The predator watched from below, frustrated but restrained, as if the song had softened its aggression. Mara understood then, compassion could be a power stronger than fear. She held out her hand as if inviting the predator to follow, but it only glared before retreating into the shadows. The smaller predators disappeared behind it, leaving the chamber silent except for the bird's soft song. Mara exhaled, tears streaming down her face, a mix of relief and exhaustion. "We made it, we really did," she whispered. The glowing creature hovered near her shoulder, a gentle hum vibrating against her skin, confirming their survival. The bird landed lightly on her arm, chirping in what sounded like joy. Mara laughed softly, a sound of pure release. The ledge led to a hidden valley, lush and untouched, where Mara could finally rest. She set the bird down gently, watching it spread its wings and take flight. The song echoed across the cliffs, a reminder of resilience, of connection, of life persevering despite the dangers. Mara felt a swell of pride. She had chosen compassion over fear, courage over instinct, and in doing so she had saved not just the bird but the harmony of this world. But even in this moment of triumph, Mara's eyes scanned the horizon. She knew the world beyond this valley was full of unknown dangers. Yet for the first time she felt ready. With the songbird by her side and the power of empathy guiding her, she could face whatever lay ahead. The bird circled above, calling out, a signal to others unseen. Mara followed its flight, feeling lighter, freer. The predator might return, the world might challenge her again, but she had discovered a truth deeper than fear. The strength of the heart, the courage to act with kindness, could turn even the darkest threats into hope. Mara stepped forward, leaving the safety of the valley behind. The songbird soared ahead, leading the way. And Mara knew, no matter what awaited, the melody of survival and compassion would carry them through.